Hi, I'm Mark Scarbrough, and this is a cauliflower gratin. So here I am with a deep dig into a cauliflower gratin. Okay, to make a cauliflower gratin, we are going to start by roasting the vegetables together. I have an oval 13 by 9, that's not a rectangle, an oval au gratin pan. Okay, so what do? To roast my vegetables, I'm going to put 3 tablespoons or about 45 milliliters of olive oil in the pan. We want to start with olive oil. Don't worry, the butter's coming. I promise every gratin has butter. It's coming. And then I've got 3 pounds or about 1.4 kilograms of cauliflower. This is a head of cauliflower that's been cut up into small florets. Could I already buy these small florets like this? Yes. Sometimes the florets that you buy are large. You're going to have to cut them down. Look at how it sits in my hand. That's about how big it needs to be. It needs to be not a giant cauliflower floret because we're not going to roast them for all that long. So all the cauliflower is going to go in. And then I'm going to put in about half a cup, and you can fudge this a little bit, half a cup, 80 grams of pitted green olives that have been sliced. Obviously you don't want any stuffing in the olives. You just want good, solid green olives for this. And the olives in the cauliflower are so amazing because one is really salty and briny, and the other is sweet and vegetal. Makes this lovely mixture, but we need to, because we bumped our brine up just slightly, because we pulled up the brininess with the olives, we need to sweeten it up too, just in terms of flavor balance and flavor palettes. So this is a small red onion, but you put this in, just make sure it's roughly chopped. You want fairly large pieces, and then mix this around a bit in here. You want to get the olive oil good and distributed across it, but you don't have to be crazy. Because, here's why you don't have to be crazy about it, because as this bakes, you're going to toss it 2 more times. So you don't have to get everything thoroughly coated right now, just kind of get it coated on the bottom, particularly so it doesn't stick. Now that I've done that, I'm going to take this, put it in the oven for 20 minutes, stirring twice. And after that, then we're ready to make the sauce. Recently I did a check, just a fast check on my computer, and we've published over 12,000 recipes in our career since 1999, which is just insane. And here's the thing, I've forgotten a lot of those recipes, I'll admit it, but there are always some recipes that I can't let go of, that I remember. And this is one of those recipes. This was created for our book, Vegetarian Dinner Parties, which was nominated for a James Beard Award. It's a beautiful book about how to throw a completely meatless dinner parties, and I have always remembered this dish, and I've always wanted to come back to it, so here I am. Okay, so it's come out of the oven, and if you look at it, we didn't cook these so that they were done. I didn't brown them up until they were, I don't know what, soft. I merely got some color on them. I got the onions to soften a little bit. The point of this is that we want the crunch of the cauliflower. We don't want pablum. We still want it to have some chew factor. I'm only laughing because someone tried an Instant Pot recipe of ours the other day, and they wrote and said that our timing was off, and I questioned why, and she said, well, my family doesn't like to chew their carrots. Okay, so this is probably not a recipe for her. This is a recipe where the vegetables are going to still have a little bit of crunch to them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cheese sauce to put over this. And this is a really important thing. Let this come out of the oven and set aside before you start this, because this can't be super hot from the oven when you pour this cheese sauce on top of it. So now I'm going to make my cheese sauce. I'm going to start by getting my pan going, and I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons or about 30 grams of butter. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a very blonde roux here, a little bit fudged on the proportionalities. If you know anything about a roux, you'll know that they're sometimes equal volumes, and this will be equal volumes, but it's not going to be equal weights, which is sometimes the case with a roux. It's a whole thing, so let's just say it's a little fudged. And I'm going to melt my butter in my pan, but I don't want any browning here. I want a good, solid white cheese sauce. And I'm using Gruyere as my cheese. We'll get to that. That's a half a cup or about 50 grams of shredded Gruyere, because I want that beautiful, sweet, nutty, slightly nutty, aromatic taste of Gruyere There goes my butter. So here goes my 2 tablespoons, or about 16 grams of all-purpose flour or plain flour. Whisk this together just until it's combined. Don't let it go too far. I want my butter to melt. I want it to become a paste in the pan, but no more than that. Great, that seems perfect. Look, it's just becoming a paste. It's just coming together. And now I'm gonna add my milk slowly, slowly, slowly. 1.5 cups or 350 milliliters of milk. Do not use fat-free. Use regular whole milk. We want this thing to be rich and delicious and absolutely irresistible. Notice I've just been adding a little and little. I'm whisking the whole time. I'm not letting up. I don't want to let up. Now I want this to slowly come up to a simmer, and I can't turn away. Okay, what I want to happen is I want this just to come to a bubble. I'm going to turn it off, which it is now, and I'm going to add that Gruyere to it. Whoa! Oh, my counter! I can't do 2 things at once, but I got the Gruyere in at least. So I'm going to add the Gruyere. I'm going to whisk it until it's smooth. Remember, no flame at this point. I've turned my heat off to this. Now here comes the salt, pepper, and the spice. This is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper, and a 1/2 teaspoon of grated nutmeg. Oh, the grated nutmeg is so good. Oh, look, I managed to get it all in the pot. So I'm gonna whisk that in until it's together, which it is. And then the question is just taking this thickened sauce and pouring it over the vegetables. I don't want to miss a single drop. And you're ready for the final bit for this, which is I'm going to take a 1/4 cup or about 20 grams of grated Parmigiano Reggiano. Please do not use anything in a can. Please use the real thing. A 1/4 cup and a 1/4 cup or about 16 grams of panko breadcrumbs. Plain. Mix them together. And this is going to be our topping. Here's the point at which you could add, if you wanted to, heat. And by adding heat, I would add red pepper flakes to this breadcrumb mixture. You could also spice this up at this point. There's nutmeg in this, and I've kept it pretty plain because I want it to be kind of a deliciously rich side dish that doesn't compete with anything else on the table. But you could put a little dried oregano. I put dried spices in here. Dried oregano, dried thyme. Or, as I say, this is the point to add heat with red pepper flakes to it. Okay, it's ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it under the broiler for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm just looking for a browned top and a little bubbling of that cheese sauce. And at that point, it's ready to serve. Okay, I got my spoon in hand. I'm ready to go. I am going to dig into this cauliflower gratin. It's out of the oven. You can see it's browned up just a little bit. You want to, by the way, let this sit just a little bit. That cheese sauce has to set up just slightly. If you made this for a holiday table, you could take this out up to 30 minutes in advance and just set it aside. You can see the breadcrumbs have browned a little bit on top. It's a little crunchy. Look, see, I told you the cauliflower is still, it's still cuttable. What's the right word? It's cuttable. There's lots of, it's hottable. Did your mother ever tell you not to blow on your food? Mine did. Mine said you don't want your stinky breath all over the room. So I'm going to blow on my food and hopefully my mom's not watching. Nutmeggy, cheesy, crunchy, comforting. This would go so cheesy. This would go so good with turkey, with ham, with a roast beef. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. No wonder I couldn't let go of this recipe. No wonder after so many I still remember it. It's simple, it's earthy. Make it, just make it. To get all the ingredients for this recipe, look in the more below me. If you click down and open the window, you'll see all the ingredients to this recipe sitting down there, along with some few notes about them in case I missed anything or forgot anything. You can also join Bruce and me on our podcast, Cooking with Bruce and Mark, wherever podcasts are gotten by you, whether it's on Apple or Deezer or Spotify or iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find our podcast with the two of us, Cooking with Bruce and Mark. Subscribe to this channel, like this video. Don't make me sad. Like this video and come back for another episode of Cooking with Bruce and Mark.